Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. OK, let's embark on a detailed exploration of the cosmological argument, specifically focusing on one of its variations sometimes referred to as the argument from arbitrary limits, or, more generally, the challenge of explaining why the universe exists at all rather than nothing. This will involve delving into the philosophical concepts, outlining different versions of the argument, addressing common objections, and then exploring how we might conceptualize it programmatically. The cosmological argument, an overview. The cosmological argument is a family of arguments that attempt to prove the existence of God, or a necessary being, by reasoning from the existence of the universe. The core idea is that everything that exists must have a cause, or an explanation for its existence, and tracing these causes leads us ultimately to a first cause, which is often identified with God. 2. Variations of the cosmological argument. There are several main formulations of the cosmological argument, including 1. The Calum cosmological argument *. This version argues that whatever begins to exist has a cause of its existence. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause of its existence. This cause is often identified as God. 2. The argument from contingency *. This version focuses on the difference between contingent and necessary beings. It generally argues everything that exists is either contingent or necessary. Not every being can be contingent. Therefore, there must exist a necessary being. This necessary being is often identified as God. 3. The argument from efficient causation, first way of St. Thomas Aquinas. This relies on the principle that everything that is moved, changed, is moved by something else. The argument aims to show that there cannot be an infinite regress of movers, and therefore there must be an unmoved mover. 4. The argument from gradation, fourth way of St. Thomas Aquinas. This argues from the observation that things have varying degrees of perfection, example goodness, truth. The argument is that there must be something that is maximally perfect, which is the source of all the degrees of perfection we observe. 3. The argument from arbitrary limits and the question of why is there something rather than nothing. The argument from arbitrary limits is related to the contingency argument and the question of sufficient reason. It's less a formally defined argument and more of a philosophical challenge that highlights the strangeness of existence itself. It centers around the following questions. Why does anything exist at all? Why isn't there simply nothing? Why does the universe have the specific properties it has? Why these fundamental constants, these laws of physics, this particular arrangement of matter and energy? This challenge suggests that if the universe is simply a brute fact, then there seems to be no good reason why it exists or why it exists with these specific characteristics. To illustrate, imagine a perfectly fair coin that has been flipped infinitely many times, resulting in a specific sequence of heads and tails. Each flip has a 50/50th chance, but the particular sequence we observe is just one possibility among infinitely many. Why this sequence? We might say it's just random, but that doesn't really explain why this specific outcome happened. Similarly, the universe could have had countless different initial conditions and physical laws. Why does it have these ones? The core idea The argument suggests that if the universe is simply a contingent being without any further explanation, it's arbitrary and unexplained. This perceived lack of explanation leads some to propose that there must be a necessary being or a deeper explanation for the universe's existence and characteristics. 4. Key concepts and terms. Contingent being a being whose existence depends on something else. It is possible for a contingent being not to exist. Most things we observe in the world are contingent beings. A chair, a planet, a person are all contingent. Necessary being a being whose existence is not dependent on anything else. It exists by its own nature and cannot not exist. Sufficient reason the principle that everything must have a reason or explanation for its existence and properties. Leibniz articulated this principle: nothing is without a reason. Infinite regress a chain of causes that goes back infinitely without ever reaching a first cause or a stopping point. The cosmological argument often argues that an infinite regress is impossible or unsatisfactory. Brute fact a fact that has no explanation. It simply is the way it is, and there is no further reason to be given. The claim that the universe's existence is a brute fact is often a point of contention in discussions about the cosmological argument. V. Objections and counterarguments. The cosmological argument, in all its forms, has faced numerous criticisms. Here are some common objections to the argument from arbitrary limits and the contingency argument. 1. The fallacy of composition *. This objection states that just because every part of the universe has a cause doesn't necessarily mean that the whole universe has a cause. It's like saying that because every brick in a building was made by a brickmaker, the building itself must have been made by a brickmaker. The building is a collection of bricks, not another brick. 2. The question of God's cause *. If everything needs a cause, then what caused God? If God doesn't need a cause, then why can't the universe also not need a cause? This leads to the problem of special pleading. Proponents of the argument often respond by saying that God is a necessary being and therefore doesn't require a cause in the same way that contingent beings do. The universe, they argue, is contingent. 3. The problem of evil *. If God is the necessary being and is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-good, why does evil exist in the world? This is a separate but related problem that often arises in discussions about God's existence. 4. Quantum mechanics and spontaneous creation *. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that particles can spontaneously pop into existence from nothing, quantum vacuum fluctuations. This raises the question of whether the universe could have similarly arisen spontaneously without a cause. However, critics argue that quantum vacuum is not truly nothing but a complex state with energy and quantum fields. 5. The multiverse hypothesis *. The multiverse hypothesis suggests that our universe is just one of many universes, possibly with different physical laws and constants. If there is a vast or infinite multiverse, the probability of some universe having the properties we observe becomes less surprising. This effectively shifts the question to why is there a multiverse, which could still be subject to a cosmological argument. 6. The appeal to mystery *. Some argue that appealing to a necessary being or a divine creator is simply replacing one mystery, the existence of the universe, with another, the existence of God. We are left with the equally difficult question of explaining God's existence and nature. 7. Logical fallacy of affirming the consequent *. If God exists, then the universe should have certain characteristics. The universe has those characteristics, therefore God exists. That's not a logically sound argument. There could be other explanations for those characteristics. 6. A programmatic conceptualization, Python. While we can't prove or disprove the cosmological argument with code, we can use programming to explore some of the underlying concepts and illustrate the challenges involved in modeling the universe's origin and properties. Explanation of the code *. 1. Universe Simulator Class *. This class represents a simulated universe. *__init___ initializes the universe with a specified number of fundamental constants and their possible ranges. It generates random values for the constants within those ranges. Generate _random constants, creates a list of random constant values. Calculate livability score, this is the most important part conceptually, and also the most arbitrary. This function attempts to assign a livability score to the universe based on its constants. The specific calculations are just for demonstration and have no basis in real physics. You can modify this function to reflect different hypothetical scenarios. The logic here is that certain ranges of the fundamental constants might be necessary for the existence of stars, planets, and ultimately, life as we know it. *_str__ provides a string representation of the universe, showing its constants and livability score. 2 Example usage **** sets up example values for the number of constants and their ranges. *** creates a universe simulator object. ** prints the universe's information. ** simulates many different universes and finds the best one, the one with the highest livability score. * example uses the matplotlib to show the distribution of different universes. How this relates to the cosmological argument ***. Arbitrary limits ** the constant ranges and the calculate livability score function represent the problem of arbitrary limits. Why do the constants have the values they do? Why these ranges? The code forces us to make choices about these limits. The fine-tuning problem ** the livability score attempts to capture the idea of fine-tuning. If the constants are slightly different, the universe might be uninhabitable. This relates to the question of why this universe, or these universes, exists with the specific properties that allow for life. Simulation versus explanation ** the code simulates the generation of universes, but it doesn't explain why the ranges or the livability function are what they are. It highlights the difference between simulating something and providing a fundamental explanation for it. Limitations of the code ***. Oversimplification ** the simulation is a gross oversimplification of the complexity of the universe. Arbitrary metrics ** the livability score is completely arbitrary and based on hypothetical scenarios. It's not based on actual scientific models of universe formation or habitability. No causation ** the code generates random values, it doesn't attempt to model any underlying causal mechanisms. 7. Conclusion. The cosmological argument and the problem of why is there something rather than nothing, are deep philosophical questions that have been debated for centuries. The argument from arbitrary limits is a variation that highlights the apparent contingency and fine-tuning of the universe, suggesting that there might be a deeper explanation beyond simply brute fact. While programming can't provide definitive answers, it can help us visualize the concepts and grapple with the complexities involved in understanding the universe's origin and properties. The key takeaway is that this type of arguments tries to find an answer to questions that science cannot solve by its methods.